Okay, Ian asks, are you familiar with astral projection? If so, what are your views on it? Well, I get a lot of questions like this, and some of them I don't answer, but astral projection in particular is one that I can comment on, because when I was 13, I did some sort of astral projection. And this is part of why it's really interesting for me to think about doing a video for children on meditation, because a lot of interesting things would come from it. When I was 13, I was doing this meditation where I would lie in bed and I would rock the bed back and forth like a hammock in my mind. If any of you are familiar with astral projection, you probably know where this is going to go and can understand how it went the way it did, because they don't use this technique, but they use this sort of technique. So, and eventually I could get to the point where the whole bed was rocking like a hammock, and it really felt like it. And then I could get it to the point where the bed would do loops. I would be lying in bed, and the whole bed would be doing loops like a hammock, right? As though I was in a hammock, but doing loops, and I go back and forth. And I did this day after day. The reason I was doing it, I hadn't learned it from anywhere, but it felt good, and it made me feel calm. And it was an antidote for all of the suffering that I felt. Suffering at school, and stress as well from school. But just general depression, being a teenager. Enough said. So I did this for quite some time, got good at it, and then at one point I started doing it from head to toe, where it would be like a hammock but going the other way, so going up at my toes and then up at my head and swinging in this direction. And then one day it happened that my mind popped out of my body, popped out of my head, just whoop. And it's so long ago that I'm just, because I repeat this again and again, I'm able to remember it. But I kind of get the feeling back now of what it was like. And I was upstairs, I floated downstairs, and my younger brother was pouring a bowl of cereal. And I watched him pour the bowl of cereal, pour the milk into the cereal, and then he was turning to put the cereal away or something like that, put something away. And his elbow or the milk or something hit the bowl of cereal and knocked it on the floor and smashed the bowl into pieces, with the cereal going everywhere. And I saw this, and after seeing it, I floated back upstairs and back into my head, back into my body. And then I got up and, kind of like, wow, that was a bit weird. Went downstairs and saw my brother pour a bowl of cereal, turned to put the cereal away, and knocked the bowl of cereal on the floor, smashing it into pieces. So not only was it astral projection, but it was, I think that's what the term astral projection is. I might be totally off base, actually. You might be talking about something else. I think nowadays they refer to it as out-of-body experiences, or OOBE. There's this group of researchers in University of Georgia, based on the work of Ian Stevenson, and they study this kind of thing. Yeah, but not only was it an out-of-body experience, but it was also a, what do you call it, seeing into the future. It was such a banal experience, but or subject. But that was my one experience of something like astral projection or so on. So I believe it's possible. It seems quite logical and quite reasonable, quite simple. And I could, if you want, you could train in it. If you're interested, do the sort of thing that I did and take weeks or months to train like that. and see what happens. There are easier ways. There are documented ways where I think they also recommend lying down. It's funny, I must have done it in a past life or something, because it just came, I didn't read about it at all. They talk about lying down and something about moving your mind, getting your mind out of your body. Anyway, there are techniques, I think, on the internet even about it. So I don't have many views on it, but the other thing I wanted to say is what are my views on it, is that these are obviously not what I teach and not what I'm interested in, and in general not what Buddhist teachers and practitioners are interested in. That's why I don't generally answer these sorts of questions when they come up, questions about the third eye and the chakras and so on, because they're really beside the point. The Buddha taught four things. He taught he taught suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path which leads to the cessation of suffering. And this astral projection is not in one of those. If anything, it's the truth of suffering, because it's not going to satisfy you. It's not going to bring true peace and happiness. It's not going to bring wisdom and understanding. All it does is make you feel good and give you something to go, that's neat. Okay, so thanks for the question.